Hi guys, we're making this funny fella today. This is another character from the Hey Duggee cartoon series, and this guy's name is Roly or Roly. I'm not sure how it's pronounced, but they're all super cute, so I kind of want to do them all. This guy was super fun. He's not that big. I kind of made these to be a bit on the smaller side. So 16 inches long, and then roughly maybe 7 inches wide. So the yarn, you're going to need not a whole lot of yarn. Like this here, the ears and the body and the nose and all that, it's probably 3 ounces, maybe a little more, maybe not even. Like you don't need a whole lot of yarn for this guy. He's pretty small, but he's pretty cute. So let's jump right into this. So I'm going to start this project off with a 4.5. The yarn I'm using, this light gray, is a Craft Smart. He's going to be for the body, the arms, the legs, the ears, the nose, pretty much everything. Actually, the legs, no, I don't use him for the legs. So it's just the nose, the arm, the ear, and the body. This here is a curry. That's the color, and it's also a Craft Smart. And then just find kind of any kind of brown. I got some of this leftover brown, and I think it's a red heart. I can feel that it's a red heart, but I don't know. It's just a dark brown, I guess. I don't know the color. And black, because his arm, his hand is black for some reason, so we need black. And then we also need black for his pupil and white for his eyeball. Let's get into it. So we're going to start with the curry color. We're going to build his body first because that's how I did it in the PDF. So I'm just going to follow suit. And we're going to start with the curry because that's the color of his pants. So whatever pants colors you're going to use. So this is built in amigurumi, so you're going to need a stitch marker. We're going to do a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So after your after your first stitch, that's where your marker goes. You can put stitch number 2 in there. This will bring it up to 12 stitches. Your next round is going to be 1 single crochet and an increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So your next round is going to be 2 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 24 stitches. That's number 1. That's number 2. And then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. This will bring you up to 30 stitches. That's number 1. That's 3 single crochets, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and an increase. This will bring it up to 36 stitches. That's number 1. That is 4 single crochets and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. Your next round is going to be 5 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring it up to 42 stitches. Your next round is going to be 6 single crochets and an increase. We're almost done increasing. Your next one is going to be 7 and an increase. So I'm going to put those 2 on the screen. So this is my 6 single crochet increase and my 7 single crochet increase. So this is as far as we're increasing currently. So for the next 3 rows, before we switch to gray, for the next 3 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these. 54 stitches is what you should have. And then your last stitch, we're going to switch to gray, but I'll meet you back for that. So I will see you on the other side. So that's my 3 rows. This is what you should have. So I'm on my one last stitch I have left, and that's the one I'm going to switch to my gray. So I'm just going to pull up a loop. I'm going to finish the stitch with my gray. And then I like to tie my curry and my gray together. I don't like to weave, but I'm going to leave my hook in there just so I know what tension I need. I don't like to weave because it makes one side thicker than the other, especially this gray. This gray is thicker than the curry. And then I can cut those off. And weaving is such a pain in the butt. So now that we've got our gray, for the next 2 rows, you're just going to keep doing your 1 single crochet in each stitch. And I will see you on the other side. So that's my 2 rows with my gray. So we're going to continue to increase. Your next round is going to be 8 single crochets and an increase. And this will bring it up to 60 stitches. That's 8 single crochets with 1 being the marker, and then your increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. So once you're done this, I want you to follow up with a row of 1 single crochet in each stitch. And both those are going to be on my pause screen, and I will see you on the other side. So that is my increase plus a row of 1 single crochet in each stitch. So your next round is going to be 9 single crochets and an increase, and this will bring up to 66 stitches. So this is what you should have currently. For the next 10 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 66 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So that's my 10 rows. This is what you should have. So we're going to start decreasing now. Because we ended with a 9 single crochet increase, we're going to start with a 9 single crochet decrease. That's 9 single crochets. That counts as number 1. So I'm going to do an invisible decrease. You don't have to. And a regular decrease is you just go in and pull up a loop, go into your next stitch, pull up a loop, yarn over, and pull through all 3. An invisible decrease is done a little differently and in the front loops only. So you go into the front loop and then pop around and go into the next front loop. Then you yarn over and pull through and finish the stitch. But it's completely up to you. So you should have 60 stitches. So for the next 4 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 60 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So I'm done my 4 rows. Your next decrease is going to be 8 single crochets and a decrease. And then we're going to do another 4 rows. That's number 1. That's 8 single crochets and then my decrease. So I'm going to put this up and then the 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each of what should be 54 stitches, and I will see you on the other side. So I did my decrease row and then I did my 4 rows of 1 single crochet in each stitch. I had to get a new roll of gray, which is the exact same color, but I just went from worsted to 4-weight. Yeah, so that's not good, but I'm sure I'll be able to get the video done. But in case you do notice the difference, I assumed when I started this project that I had all kinds of gray. I just didn't realize it was not the same stuff. So this feels like a Bernat or something, whereas my other one was Craft Smart. So very big difference in texture, and I can see the difference. So anyway, just a little funny story about the bloopers that I go through making a video. So we're going to continue to decrease, but we're not going to continue with the 4 rows. We're only going to do 1 row in between now. So your next round is going to be 7 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 48 stitches. And then you can follow this row up with just 1 row of 1 single crochet. Anyway, that's number 1. That's my 7 single crochets and then my decrease and repeat. So your next couple of rounds, first one's going to be 6 single crochet and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 42 stitches, and then you can follow that up with 1 single crochet in each of the 42 stitches. So this is number 1. That is 6 single crochets and then your decrease. So I'll put both rows up on the screen and I will see you on the other side. So we're getting there. This will be the end of chapter 1, is this body. I know it's been a pretty long chapter. So your next couple of rounds are going to be 5 single, well, the first one's going to be 5 single crochets and a decrease. This will bring you down to 36 stitches, and then you can follow it up with 1 single crochet in each stitch around. That's number 1. That's 5 single crochets and then your decrease. So I put some stuffing in it. Your next round is going to be 4 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 30 stitches, and then you can follow it up with 1 single crochet in each of the 30 stitches. And then the next couple of rows after that are going to be decreases back to back. That's 4 single crochets and then your decrease. So your next 2 rounds, your last 2 rounds, are just decreases. So this one's going to be 3 single crochets and a decrease. And this will bring you down to 24 stitches. Your last round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This brings you down to 18 stitches, and then we're going to sew the top shut. We're not cinching it, we're sewing it, because he's kind of got a weird top to his head. So I'm all the way back around. I'm going to fasten off. So I need a sewing tail. And we just need to finish stuffing this. So we don't need to go right to the top with this, but you can go pretty close. So this gets sewn shut like this. That's the top of his head. So that's how the character is shaped. So first I want you to go through this next stitch just to get rid of this bump and pull that through. It kind of pulls that bump through. And then we're going to go into this first stitch and grab this next stitch that matches right across. We're going to do a whip stitch. Now generally a whip stitch is back loop to back loop. You can do that as well. I'm just going to go through all of the loops. So, now we've got these funny looking bumps up here. I'm going to go down into the actual top of the bump. And I'm going to come out the other bump. So it kind of pulls that down a bit. See? And then this bump, I'm going to go to the top of this bump. And I'm going to weave, which pulls it down. Now I don't have any more bumps on the top of my head. So let's say get rid of your bumps. But you need to secure that. So I'm going to grab a tiny little piece of yarn. Just one. And I'm going to make a knot. And I'm going to push that right down so that it's tiny, tiny. I'm going to go into the stitch right next to it. And I'm going to pull. And that sucks the knot down inside, so nobody will know the knot's there. Now these two are secured. They shouldn't pop back out. And then you can just continue to weave in multiple directions. And this is going to be the end of chapter 1. I know it was super duper long, but we've got the worst out of the way, the longest out of the way. I will see you in chapter 2. Hi guys, welcome back to chapter 2. So I had to order some more yarn because remember I had a different yarn that looks almost identical, but it's not. I can feel the difference and I can kind of see it. So I had to order some more and they didn't have any at my store, my local store, so I had to order it online. So I have it now so we can continue. So next on the list for the PDF is the nose. In case anyone's wondering what I'm talking about, I offer PDFs for channel members. So you just click that join button and you can join for $2.99 a month or $4.99 a month. Then you get access to all my PDFs. So that's what that's all about. So get your gray and brown. That's what I use for the nostrils. Let me show you. That's what we're going to do. So I use the brown for nostrils. So get your gray, get your brown. We'll jump right into this. So we're going to start the nose with a chain 6, She's got a funny shaped nose. So I want you to do 4 single crochets starting in the first one. You've got 5 working chains. So I'll do 4 single crochets. And in the last stitch, I want you to put 6 single crochets all in that same space. So we're going to be working in the round, which means we're going to follow this around. So follow that curvature. Pull your slip knot closed. So you see how it curves around? We'll follow that, and we're going to work on the other side. That's what in the round means. And down the other side, starting, so this is your slip knot. I still have a bit of a hole. I didn't quite close it tight enough. I'm going to weave in my tail at the back, but starting right next to your slip knot, you're going to do 3 single crochets across. And then in this last stitch, you're going to put 3 single crochets in there. So you're going to get the same thing. It's going to walk around to the other side. And this is the first stitch that we started in. You can put a stitch marker in there just so you can follow along easier. So round number 2, let's start with putting a stitch marker in this first stitch and cutting off this straggler at the back. So if you weaved this in like I did, you can just snip it off. If you didn't, you're probably going to have to sew it in. So we're going to do 5 single crochets. This is stitch number 1 with our marker. And then around this bend, I want you to do a 1 single crochet increase 2 times. So you'll come back over here. So that's 1 single crochet. The next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. Do it again, 1 single crochet, and then your increase. And then I want you to do 5 single crochets. And then I want you to do 1 single crochet increase. That's 1 single crochet, and then the next stitch gets the increase. Round number 3, we're going to start off by putting 2 stitches in this first stitch, but the stitch marker goes on the very first one, and then number 2 can go in that same space. And then you're going to do 5 single crochets. This next stitch will get 2 single crochets in the same space. And then I want you to do 3 single crochets. And then 2 single crochets into this next stitch. Then I want you to do 5 single crochets. And then 2 single crochets into this next stitch. Next stitch gets 1 single crochet, and then the last stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Round number 4, the very first stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space after the first stitch. That's where your marker goes, and then you can put stitch number 2 in there. And now I want you to do 7 single crochets. And then this next stitch, I want you to put 2 single crochets. I want you to do 3 single crochets. And then this next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space. Then I want you to do 7 single crochets. This next stitch gets 2 single crochets in the same space, and then 3 single crochets to finish the round. So you can kind of flip this since it's starting to curl. So round number 5 is going to be done in the back loops only. These guys right here. So you don't have to turn it or anything, they're right there. So you should have 28 stitches, and we're going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 28 stitches in the back loops only. So for the next 5 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 28 stitches, the full stitch this time, and that'll be the end of the nose. So I will see you on the other side. So that's my 5 rows. So I know you think this looks pretty funny, but if you do that, oh, it's a little too concave. It has got no stuffing in it, but after the stuffing goes in and then the nostrils go on, it will be concave like this with the nostrils, so it will look like a pig's nose. I'm not sure if that's what it's supposed to look like, but that's what it does look like. I'm not sure what character he is. I'm not familiar with the cartoon. So you're going to use sewing tail, but we're done as far as that, and we just need to do the nostrils. So we're going to put the nostrils on before we stuff it. There's a method to my madness. So you need some brown. Is there a beginning to this? Oh my gosh. There it is. So you need some brown. And the nostrils are just easy peasy. They are a magic ring of 6 single crochets, and that is it. Easy peasy. That's a magic ring, 6 single crochets. So just go into your next stitch. Fasten off with a sewing tail or a tying tail. More likely a tying tail. Nostril number 1. Do it again. So that's my 2 nostrils. So these 2 spots, there's one right here, then one right here. That's where I did in the round initially, the very first spot. That's where we're going to stick these. So you can decide whether to sew or not, but we're going to do this before the stuffing. So the bottom of the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, kind of sits on the 7th line from his pants. If that's any help at all to where he's gonna go, 1, 2, well, this is my back of mine because that's my jog, so I think I'm just gonna spin him around. I don't think my nostrils are still not even, but anyway, that's the guy's nose. While we have our brown out, we can do the mouth because I sewed the mouth on and glued it. Sorry, I didn't really sew it. I glued it more than I sewed it, so I'm just going to keep all my pins handy here. And I'm going to use my other doll as a reference because this was not easy to do. So I'm going to get my glue. It's just clear school glue. So it doesn't matter where you come in, it just matters where you pop out. And I popped out around the 8th row up here next to his nose. That's 7. So I'm going to pop out right there next to his nose. And then you have to come down, so you drop down to about the 5th row. So this is row 7 where we sewed our thing on, 6 and 5. You drop down to about the 5th row. So all along here, I'm going to put some glue. And I'm going to pin it where I want the angle to be. So right about there. Because we got to pop back up. Let's see, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. The 11th row. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I pop back up to here. So I just got to do my glue. So that's the shape it's got to be. So that that can dry into that shape. And then I'll just go down this hole and pop out somewhere to finish the little smile. So that's his mouth. It's super duper weird, but that's the mouth he's got. So I kind of had no choice but to glue it. So while that's drying, we can move on and make his arms, legs, and ears. And then his eyes. And that is it. He's got no tail or anything that I know of anyway. So next on the agenda is going to be eyes. So I built the pupils first. They're separate and then they're sewn to the white. So the pupils are just a magic ring of 6 single crochets, so you just need a couple of those. And then fasten off. Make pupil number 2. It will just get sewn to the white part after we're done making them. So set those aside. And then we need some white. So we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets with this white. So your first stitch is going to get 2 single crochets in it. So after the first one, that's when your marker gets put in there. And then stitch number 2. The next stitch is going to get 2 single crochets. The next stitch is going to get 2 half doubles. The next 2 stitches are going to get 2 double crochets in each of them. That's the first stitch. Next stitch gets the same thing, 2 double crochets. Then this last stitch gets 2 half doubles. Round number 2, you're going to start with 2 single crochets in the first stitch, but after the first one, that's when your marker gets put in. And then 2 single crochets in the next 2 stitches as well. And then you're going to do 2 half doubles, but not in the same stitch, 1 in each. Then in the next 2 stitches, in the next 4 stitches, you're going to put 2 double crochets in each of those. So that's 8 stitches over the last 4 stitches. 8 double crochets. And then you're going to do 2 half doubles, 1 in each. And then in your last stitch, you're going to do 2 single crochets. And that is the eyeball. So when we go into the next stitch, fasten off, you're going to need a sewing tail. A little bit longer than normal because we're going to do something different with this. So his eyes sit like this. So this has to be in the middle because we're going to sew the 2 together like that. So this has to be in the middle. Same with the other eye. So let's go ahead and make our other one and then we'll put it all together. All right. So the two eyes are going to get sewn on like this with these fasten off points facing each other. So our pupils get sewn on right at the magic ring. So just go right through that magic ring hole. So his eyes go on a couple of rows just above his nose. I use my straggler here to kind of tack it down. So just remember that this has to be on this side. So this fanned out part needs to be off to the side. So once it's laid down, and we're going to sew, I'm going to use this to sew to that, and this to sew to that. Well, that's my eyes, so I can't seem to sew anything. Like my nostrils are crooked, my eyes are crooked. Yeah, that's okay. He's still cute. So I'm going to tie this straggler with this guy in a double knot, and then I'm going to weave them. And I'm going to do the same for the other side. This is just added security, so nothing happens to them. And I know some people are probably like, oh my god, woman. But, you know, when you have something happen, you take double precautions after. So, you don't have to do any of this, it's just me. So next up on the PDF is actually the mouth. That's where it's listed as right underneath the eyes. So we're just going to scroll on past that. And then next we have the ears. So the ears are super weird on this guy. They're on, if you look up Hey Dougie, Google Hey Dougie, and look at the characters, you'll see what I'm making. So this is what his ears are. So I don't know if that's just what his ears are, but the pictures that I've seen, these are his ears. And that's where they're on his head. So, sorry, that was my computer. So anyway, that's what we're doing next. So I have one done. I'm going to do one with you, and then I'll leave the pattern on the screen for you to do. So we're going to start this with a magic ring of 4 single crochets. If you don't know, if you're not comfortable with the magic ring, you can just do a chain 2 and then put everything into the first chain. That's a fake magic ring. It all works out the same. Pull your knot closed, you'll have exactly what you're looking at here. So, 4 single crochets Your first round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around, giving you 8 stitches. Let's see if I can get into my first stitch all the way. So I'm not going to use my stitch marker here, I'm just going to count. But if you're not familiar where your stitches are, you might want to use a stitch marker. It's just super small for me with my fat fingers, and I don't feel like doing it, honestly. So now I have 8 stitches. And that exact same thing, we're going to do it again. 2 single crochets in each stitch around. I'll use my marker this time. So then you're going to have 16 stitches. For the next 7 rows, you're just going to do 1 single crochet in each of these 16 stitches. See how easy I make it? And I will see you on the other side. So that is my 7 rows, that's what you should have, and then your very last round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease, and this will bring you down to 12 stitches, and then we can fasten off. So that's number 1 with the marker, that's number 2, and then your decrease. So we're on the very end, it doesn't really matter what decrease you do. And we can fasten off with a sewing tail and a sewing tail. So we're going to whip stitch this shut. This doesn't get any stuffing, so we just whip stitch it closed and it gets sewn on like concaved. So before I start sewing, I'm going to go through the next stitch just to pull this through. It makes that knot look a lot better before I start to sew. I'll go back into that same stitch to pop across. So that is it for the ear. So you go ahead and make your second ear up with the pattern up on the screen, and I'll meet you right back here. Hi. So we need to sew our ears on, but they literally get put on side by each, right on the side like that. So those are my ears sewn on. This guy is so funny looking. Alright, now that I'm done laughing, next on the rasta is legs. So these legs, we start with brown and we'll end in this curry color. So get your colors together and I'll meet you right back here. So we're going to start with brown, and we're going to start with a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Now your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch around. So this first one gets the marker. And then you can put number 2 stitch in that same space. So 2 single crochets in each stitch around gives you a total of 12 stitches. Your next rounds, 3 of them, you're going to put 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches for the next 3 rows. So we're not increasing. Got tiny little legs. So that is my 3 rounds. I'm going to back out of this last stitch though, because I want to change that curry color. So this is the color that we did our pants in. So again, I'm just going to tie these 2 together because I don't like to weave. I know I keep saying that, but in case there's any new people that join my channel and go, what the heck is she doing? That's what I'm doing. I don't like to weave because it makes one side thicker than the other side, and I absolutely hate that. So you're just going to keep doing the same thing. I'm just going to do it for 10 rows in a different color. So 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches for 10 rows, and that'll be it. You can fasten off and make your other one. I'll see you on the other side after the 10 rows. Then I'll put my pattern on the screen. So I just want to take a second and say yes, I did stuff it to about there. To about there, 3/4 of the way up, because that's going to be on the bottom part of him. So about there I stuffed it. So that is my 10 rows. I'm going to fasten off with the sewing tail. So when you make these 2, you just have to make sure that you're stuffing it exactly the same size. So again, I didn't stuff all the way to the top. I left some unstuffed because it's going to be sewn underneath the body anyway. So again, I'm going to pull this through to this side before I start to sew, and I'm just going to whip stitch the top closed. So go ahead and make your second leg. Just make sure to stuff them the same. And I'll put my pattern on the screen and I'll see you right back here. Alright, so now that you've got both your legs made, we're going to do the arm and then we can sew the other rest of it on. So you're going to need black and your gray. So starting with black, you're going to make a magic ring of 6 single crochets. Your next round is going to be 2 single crochets in each stitch. Again, your stitch marker goes in after the first stitch, not the second stitch. So your next round is going to be 3 single crochets and an increase. Yep, I'm screwing you right up. The reason being is because I wanted to increase it, but just not substantially. So that's number 1 with your marker. That's 3 single crochets, and then your next stitch gets the increase of 2 single crochets in the same space. And repeat. So you should have 15 stitches. For the next 2 rows, I just want you to put 1 single crochet in each of these 15 stitches. And I will see you on the other side. So that's my 2 rows. Now I'm going to decrease before I switch to gray. So I want you to do a 3 single crochet decrease because we did the 3 single crochet increase. So we're going to go back to 12 stitches for us to switch to gray. So we're going to switch to gray at the very last stitch. So 3 single crochets and then your decrease. I'm just going to do a regular one because it's my only decrease. And on my last stitch, I'm going to finish my decrease with the gray. And with the gray, I'm going to work in the front loops. Only because aesthetically it's pleasing. That makes sense. It just gives it a different dimensional look. So in the front loops, 1 single crochet. And each stitch around should have 12 stitches. Easy peasy. Now we can do 10 rows of 1 single crochet in each of these 12 stitches. The full entire stitch. Stuff as you go. I will see you on the other side. So your last round is going to be 2 single crochets and a decrease. This brings you down to 9 stitches. That's number 1, number 2, and then your decrease. Do any decrease you want. Right here. It does not matter because we're fastening off when we're done. And that is it. That's all she wrote. So I'm going to fasten off with the sewing tail. And then this guy here, we whip stitch closed as well. Just like we did with the legs. And again, I'm just going to go through this first stitch first, just to pull that down over here. I go back through the same stitch and into the next stitch to start my whip stitch. So I'm going to put the pattern on the screen, and you can make arm number 2, and I'll meet you right back here. So now we can start sewing stuff on. So these legs look like they're sewn on right at the magic ring, right where the magic ring is, so that kind of in that area. So that's where I'm gonna do these guys. There. Got my feet sewn on. So now I just gotta sew my arms on. So these guys, I don't know, kind of 2 rows up from where I sewed the bottom of my nose. So my nose was sewn on at 7, 8, 9. Looks like it's 2 rows above that. So So there's my guy, Roly. So like I said, if you're not sure who he is, then you're just gonna have to look up Hey Dougie and see what the characters are, because they're all pretty super duper cute, except for mine looks drunk right now. So thanks for joining me, guys. I'll see you in the next video.